Time now for another vlog. And if you have a vlog suggestion that I've yet to do, as always, be sure and check the vlog playlist first. Feel free, and then send your vlog suggestion my way via the comment section, Twitter, Facebook, or Discord. As always, social medias below in the description section. And like I always say, if you ever have a vlog suggestion that is very, I guess, taboo or something you just don't want other people to know it was you that made the suggestion, you want to keep it anonymous, that's perfectly fine. You can always DM me your anonymous vlog suggestions by the same social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Just let me know you want it to be anonymous. No questions asked. I understand. But today, we're going to talk about a vlog suggestion that's not anonymous, that I came up with thanks to my sister. It was an accident, though. As you know, accidents can and will happen. So a few weeks ago, I was on vacation visiting my sisters in Central Texas, and one of them, along with her husband, are dentists. And the day before, I was at her dental office getting dentist stuff done to me. You know, like fillings, teeth cleaned, etc. And this was a Thursday. And then Friday morning, she had gone off to work. And I was at their house. They're both at their jobs. They have a private practice, by the way. So all of a sudden, she's texting me on Friday morning. And she's like, did my husband message you? And I'm like, what about? So I'm wondering, like, what the hell's going on, right? For like 10 minutes or so, like a whole bunch of things were going through my head. Like, what the hell happened? Why would he be messaging me? What's wrong? What's the deal? Of course, I patiently waited for her to message me back because I'm assuming that she would message me back. And sure enough, she did. It was a really long text message. And she was basically completely devastated by something that she had done to me. It was horrific. And she was afraid I was going to be angry and mortified by what she did that morning. You see, about a few weeks prior, or a month prior, backing up further in the timeline, as some of you know, I finally purchased a brand new truck. I traded in the old truck, which I'd had for about nearly 6 years, and after some research, I decided to get me a Honda Ridgeline. By the way, a very nice truck. I'm very happy with my decision to go with a Honda Ridgeline over a new Ford Ranger. I feel like that was a good call. Plus, the Ridgeline has way better reviews. It was kind of like a dark horse candidate because it wasn't on my list originally. But I do like to research things whenever I'm making a significant purchase of like $100 or more. Anyways, turns out my baby sister, my dentist, backed into my truck with her car. It was early in the morning and I was parked like somewhere where they would normally not have a vehicle, and I guess she had her gas light come on at the most inconvenient time when she was trying to back out, and it kind of distracted her. She was trying to get to her office, and she accidentally backed into my truck. Obviously, it was an accident, but she was still devastated about it. She thought I was going to be angry with her, that I was going to be furious, and turns out I wasn't. In fact, I didn't even know it happened until after the fact when she texted me, and then I walked outside and I had a look. By the way, see that gray Audi? Basically, that's what she kind of drives, a gray Audi. So if you see the thumbnail, which you probably already saw, which I did send her, by the way, I recreated the unfortunate event thanks to Grand Theft Auto Online. This truck obviously representing my Honda Ridgeline, even though it's, I would not say 100% accurate, but at least gave her a good laugh. it gave my brother-in-law a good laugh as well, and he was wondering how the hell I was able to do it. But in the end, it was an accident. It was the cosmetic damage done to the back of my truck was minor, and I'm gonna get it fixed. She offered to pay for it. She's still offering to pay for it, but it's not that big of a deal. It was an accident. It happens. They weren't used to my or anyone else's truck or vehicle being where it was parked in their driveway, and these things happen. Accidents will happen depending on a lot of situations. So there's all kinds of accidents, like small accidents, big accidents, sometimes funny accidents when you look back at some of them. There's also, tragic accidents that do occur, freak accidents. But the question remains regarding accidents. Are they accidents at all? Or, if everything in this life is meant to be, as I often believe that to be the case, the good, the bad, everything in between, is it possible that accidents in themselves are not necessarily accidents because she was meant to back into my truck, or you were meant to drop that plate or have this happen or that occur? So it's a very philosophical question regarding accidents. Now, for the most part, in general, the intention of an accident is that, an accident. You didn't mean for it to happen. You didn't know it was going to happen. One thing led to another. For example, a lot of vehicle accidents occur in the rain. Since it happens to be raining in this game, a lot more accidents will occur when it's raining, when the road is wet, or when it's snowing. Because of the simple, like that. See, perfect. I did not do that intentional. That was an accident. It was an accident. Random NPC driver, don't get so mad at me. All right, now they're salty. They just don't understand accidents will happen, even in the game. But that's the point. It wasn't an intention to hit that SUV. I mean, obviously in real life I drive much better than this. But in real life, wrecks happen. People bump into each other. People have things occur. Sometimes they're small. Sometimes it's as simple as, bumping into somebody in class or at work. And most of the time, you just be like, I'm sorry, didn't mean to do that. You weren't paying attention. Maybe you were too busy focusing on your smartphone, or you were reading a report while you were walking. You bumped into somebody, and hopefully it was minor, or maybe they were drinking a beverage like a coffee or a soda, and maybe that didn't go so well, and maybe an accident led to something worse. Maybe they're pissed off at you, maybe they took a swing at you, or maybe they pushed back on you. Sometimes accidents have a way of causing a domino effect and things spiraling out of control. So unfortunately, accidents can sometimes just be that, an accident, and I've had plenty in my life that have occurred. Another example is a friend of mine and I were stacking some bricks for my dad when we were younger. I think he offered to pay us like $5 each to do it. And I don't know why we were doing this. I guess because we were teens. And I may have I mentioned this story before? Maybe I have. Maybe I haven't. I don't know. But he was like tossing the bricks to me, and I was catching them, and then I was putting them, like I was stacking them. And he tossed one brick too soon, and I wasn't paying attention, or else his timing was just terrible. He didn't realize I was still focused on the previous brick, and I see it flying towards me, and I barely have enough time to catch it, but in the process, the brick ended up hitting one of my fingers, and it caused it to bruise and turn blue. It eventually healed, but it hurt like hell. And I think in retaliation, I threw something at him. And it didn't hurt him, but accidents, like I said, they have a way, as harmless as they can be, of causing problems. And they can vary in degrees. Now, some people make the running joke like, well, I was an accident, because, you were accidentally conceived or born. And once again, I go back to the point where I believe that there's no such thing as an accident per se. Things happen, even if the tension was not there. My friend didn't intend to hurt me with that brick, and my sister didn't intend to back into my truck, but it occurred nonetheless, just like the sign. I didn't intend to knock that sign over, but it still happened. So even if you consider yourself to be a accident, or your parents did not intend on having kids when you were conceived and born, you're still here, and that's what matters. And in a way, you were always meant to be here. But, there's various other degrees and examples of accidents. Like I mentioned, dropping something, breaking something, bumping into somebody, as well as hitting someone. Sometimes it happens, like either somebody like throwing an object at you and you're not paying attention and they're thinking that you're going to catch it when you don't catch it and you get hurt. Or somebody, for some reason, they accidentally hit you. That happens too. And when I was, a lot younger, I think I was in Boy Scouts or Webelos or one of them. And we were going to go on a trip, my troop. And I don't know why we were playing this silly little game. Like, there's one of the parents had a car, and one of the kids happened to be in the car, and they locked the door, and we were trying to get into the car, me and this other guy. He was about the same age as me, or maybe he was in a grade higher, I don't remember. But I was trying to open the door, and I couldn't open the door because it was locked. And so I was trying to yank the door open, and then unfortunately my hand slipped from the door handle and hit the fellow Boy Scout behind me, and it hit him, and for some reason he thought I had intentionally hit him, and so he punched me. And so neither one of us got to go on the scout trip because it was assumed we had gotten into a fight, even though I did have a bloody nose. He punched me in the nose. I got punched in the nose a few times by people, and most of the time they were friends. What's up with my friends punching me in my nose when I was a kid? I don't know. I think they were just jealous of me because I looked better than them. I don't know. But, so that was an accident. I didn't mean to accidentally hit that fellow Boy Scout or Weebelo, but unfortunately he didn't see it as an accident. He thought that I intentionally hit him, and so he was retaliating. Instead of asking me, why did you hit me? He just reacted. And that's why it's important not to react. That's why it's important if something like that happens, if an accident occurs, think before you react. Now, sometimes it's not an accident. Sometimes somebody will start a fight with you, and that happened to me in high school. Like someone I thought was my friend all of a sudden attacked me for no reason. And to be honest, to this day, I still don't know why they attacked me. I honestly don't. But I fought back. And of course, we both ended up in suspension for a week, and my glasses got broke. They were a cheap pair of sunglasses, but, that's beside the issue. I have no idea why he attacked me. But obviously it wasn't an accident, and I defended myself and I fought back. What else was I going to do? Let him beat the crap out of me? I don't think so. So, yeah, there's a difference between accidents and things happening intentionally. And, other things have happened as well, accident-wise in our lives, like accidentally hurting yourself. How many times have we accidentally, when we were younger, cut ourselves or burn ourselves or touch a dangerous animal or have, play with an ant and an ant bites you, or for some reason you decide to piss off a bee for no reason, or a wasp. Maybe your intention is not to piss them off. You're curious, curiosity does to people and to cats, yeah. And you get stung, or other things can happen, or have happened in our lives, where you accidentally bump your head against a door or a wall because you weren't paying attention, or you bruise your arm on something. And a lot worse has happened as well. And sometimes you're walking by and you accidentally step on a bug, or maybe you step on a lizard, or sometimes when you're like pulling out of a driveway. I've heard this story before too. I don't think I've ever been guilty of it. Yeah, I've heard a story where some people have accidentally ran over a cat or a small dog. Not a big dog, but like a lap dog. And worse, there have been stories out there that I've read over the years on a few occasions where somebody's kid happens to be outside. And one of the parents, is late for work or something, doesn't realize their kid's outside, and for some reason their kid runs behind the car, and unfortunately, I think we all see how that accident turns out. Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, accidents can also lead to tragedy. And not only for like families of people that lose loved ones, but large scale tragedies as well. And I'm not saying that accidentally running over your kid is a small thing. It's a big thing. I mean, the loss of a child is one of the worst things that a parent or a person in general can experience in their entire life. The idea is that the cycle of life is you are supposed to outlive your parents. And when you have children, they're supposed to outlive you. That's the way it goes. But it doesn't always work out that way. But there's definitely been tragedies over the year that have been ruled accidental. Like, for example, plane crashes, major commercial jetliners going down, train crashes like Amtrak's, buildings being caught on fire like Notre Dame in France. Fortunately, nobody was killed. We still don't really know what exactly happened that caused that accident. And yeah, okay. So that was another accident. See, raining causing accidents in video games and in real life. But, boats sinking, a lot of boats have sunk because of accidents or because of nature or for a variety of other reasons. But there's always an explanation behind the accident, behind what happens. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't the intention of the crew of the Titanic to sink their ship. It wasn't the intention of, Notre Dame to catch on fire. It wasn't the intention of all these commercial jetliners that have crashed through, technical issues for them to crash. They know the commercial companies and behind the jets and trains, like Amtrak, for example, they don't want to lose customers. They don't want to lose trains. They don't want to lose employees. I think that most of the industry, and when it comes to transportation, whether it's via jet, plane, train, automobile, boat, if they had it their way, they would like for every single flight, every single thing to go flawlessly without any issues, any problems, nobody getting hurt or killed. So accidents will occur because it wasn't the intention of it to happen. It wasn't a terrorist attack. Hijackers didn't get aboard a plane and crash it into the ground or blow it up or crash it into a building, case in point. That's not an accident. That's a terrorist attack. But a plane just having some sort of mechanical issue, or a boat accidentally hitting an iceberg, or a building catching on fire and no one did it intentionally and there's arson gets ruled out, those are accidents. But there's always something through investigation that can show us why the accident occurred. Like, for example, with some jets, sometimes it's a faulty part. And with buildings, maybe it's old wiring, or maybe a lightning bolt just happened to strike the building or somebody's house. Or maybe there's squirrels in the attic that caused the issue. Or, with trains or with old rail lines that should have been repaired some time ago. Or with bridges collapsing. That happens too. Even in a first world country like my country, plenty of bridges have collapsed over the decades in the United States. And it wasn't because of an earthquake or a major storm. Those happen too. Natural disasters can and will occur. But there are plenty of times on a normal day, this bridge that just a few hours later, perfectly fine, collapses. I think it happened an interstate overpass in Atlanta, Georgia, a year or so ago, I believe. And that was an accident. But at the same time, a lot of it can be ruled to neglect, to the fact that wear and tear does occur. because every day hundreds of cars are going down the highway, causing damage to the highway, the pavement, and it's especially true when it comes to like overpasses, like that overpass right there. After a while, there's only so many cars that can go over it before it starts to buckle, before it starts to show issues. Now, whenever new roads are built or new bridges, overpasses, interstates, we want to believe that we've come far enough as, I guess, a species and society, technology-wise, where we will one day create something, a material, or materials that will make roads last forever, that will never require upkeep or maintenance. The same goes for everything else I've talked about, from roads to bridges to cars to trains to planes, jets, buildings. But unfortunately, nothing lasts forever, and things have to be repaired, and accidents will occur, especially when people fail to weigh variables, like maybe not going so fast in a big giant boat. They can't turn on a dime in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when there's icebergs. Maybe slow it down a little bit, because even though you're trying to make some sort of world record, or because your boss is telling you, hey, let's get to New York in record time, sometimes it's important for people to be responsible and say, look, this situation requires us to think it through and weigh the consequences. Because if you weigh the consequences, if you understand certain situations that do occur, then maybe you increase your chances of avoiding accidents from occurring altogether. Another case in point I'll bring up personally before I wrap up is my dog food bowl for my dog. Now, whenever it gets warmer, ants and other creatures like snails, slugs, for some reason they like to crawl up into my dog's dog food bowl. And one of the ways that my dad taught me to kind of combat that is to put my dog food bowl inside of another bowl with a little bit of water, kind of like a redoubt, water around a castle. And I do that during warmer weather. And at the time, the bowl that I used to put the dog food bowl in, another accident right there. That was an accident, I swear. It wasn't me, officer. It was an accident. But I was using an old casserole pot, right? This porcelain casserole pot. Because I couldn't use it to cook because I'm not really much of a cook anyways. But it had a crack in it. It wasn't a full-fledged crack yet, but I knew I couldn't use it for cooking. So instead of throwing it away, I decided to use it for water purposes. And I guess that was the warning sign right there, that maybe I should have thrown it away because of that crack that was appearing. Because one day I was cleaning, because I would have to clean it every now and then, the redoubt bowl, or whatever you want to call it, the casserole bowl. I put a little bit of water in to put the dog food bowl in to keep the ants away. At least try to keep the ants away. It broke in half, and it sliced up my thumb. This was about 4 years ago, I think. And yeah, that hurt like hell. I had to get stitches. It was not fun. But it was an accident. But it's an accident I could have simply avoided. What I use now is just basically a larger plastic dog bowl for the water, for that water that I use to put the dog food bowl in. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Those of you that have a dog that keeps your dog food outside, maybe you understand what I'm talking about. If not, I do apologize. So accidents will happen, and I guess you can avoid accidents by learning from past accidents that you've made and others have made, and recognize that sometimes if a situation looks like it's going to get bad, like, for example, maybe you need to get new brakes for your car. Maybe you should consider getting new brakes or new tires, because eventually that's going to increase your chances of having a car accident. Or if something else, a similar situation you're in where you recognize that if something isn't done about this problem or that issue, an accident could transpire. maybe a minor accident, maybe a major accident, or maybe it's simply about us doing a better job of being mindful of our surroundings, like my sister. Even though she's really smart, she has a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, she's a dentist. She still could have been a little bit more mindful, but at the same time, accidents can and will occur. And the best thing to do is to learn from our accidents and accept the fact that even though we have accidents in our lives, and sometimes accidents, as some of you know, yeah, one of the downsides of taking a trip. When you got to go, you're trying to look for a place to go, right? But you always hope that you won't have an accident. But also embracing the fact that everything in our lives is meant to be, the good and the bad, leaves us with the fact, looking back, that the accident that occurred was going to happen. But even though it was going to happen, it can teach us the valuable lesson of foresight, of learning from the accident, and recognizing the mistakes we made, which transpired in that accident occurring, in the hopes of avoiding future accidents down the road.